Hi, folks. This is my man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone is doing well tonight and looking forward to having a good weekend. I sure am. I know a couple of people that aren't. And I don't know. I haven't had a chance to check my latest updates for about an hour or so. But last time I saw it, we had some firings at the Pentagon and in the Navy. So and also. Non-federals at fire chief uh, in California, and updates on that other fire chief from California who met a unfortunate end, a very sad situation. But man, it's crazy over there. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could hang out down that territory. I don't think so. But anyway, how is everyone doing tonight? Hi, Todd. How you doing? Wayne, how you doing? I'm getting a thumbs up. I hope you all remember to give me a thumbs up when you come in, or a thumbs down. Let me know something. Hi, Doc. Mary's here. Nice to see you. Sissy, Darla, Benjamin, Tennessee. Tennessee, did you get any flooding water down in your area when they were trying to flood out Fort Knox? Did you get any flooding? Nice to see you, Sherry, Robin. So, did you all see where Mr. T fired the head of the Pentagon? I didn't know that's who it was. I thought, it's hard to keep up with all these screwballs. You had Lloyd Austin. He's the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And he went on a hiatus and didn't tell anybody to have his medical situation squared away. Hi, Mike. How you doing? Gloria, Damon, Marla. Nice to see you, Marla. Debbie's here. William's here. Nice to see you. So anyway, I learned something also about this situation in Israel. Everything's got a rabbit hole, doesn't it? Everything's got a rabbit hole. And I mean, there's going to be so many rabbit holes. Won't be able to cross the street the way things are going. But they've always been there, and we're just now finding out about them. But anyway, I don't know if you all heard about these mass transit attacks, these bombings that occurred in Israel, 2 buses. And they were synchronized attacks. And I don't know if they should have let this whole cat out of the bag, but it is a interesting story. Hi, Candace Cleanup. Benjamin, how you doing? Turns out that from the rivers to the sea crowd, Hamas took credit for it. I don't know if you could take credit for it, but 2 buses blew up, and they were parked. They weren't even running. It was 9:00 at night, and they both went up at the same time. So Israeli Defense Forces started checking all the buses and mass transit, everything, looking for more, and they found more. They found 4 more, and they disabled the bombs and looked at them, and they were scheduled to go off at 9 a.m. So apparently, these brain surgeons inadvertently set 2 of them for PM instead of AM. And when they went off at night, nobody was in the bus, not even no maintenance people or nothing. Everybody'd gone home. And nobody got hurt, thank God, but the buses got burned up totally. I mean, people were on that bus, on those buses, that would have been the end of it. So, since they didn't know the difference between AM and PM, the other 4 were discovered and diffused. So, I don't know if they were Might have been better just to say that they were, malfunctioned or something. Don't let them know how stupid they are. But I guess maybe to make them look as dumb as they are. Go ahead and put the whole story out. Hi, Angela. How you doing, Miss Mendersu? Nice to see you. Tammy, nice to see you too. Greg, nice to see you. From Alberta, all right. All right, we got everybody from Canada coming in. Canada. So that was an interesting story out of Israel, but a very sad situation with those young children. I showed you pictures the other night, and Trump made reference to them. He's been given different addresses, speeches, press conferences, just a flurry, a whirlwind. And he's the communicator in chief, okay? The structure and the framework of the restoration of our republic has already been laid out, built, and he's got his people working on the nuts and bolts while he goes around and takes care of international problems and communicates directly with the American people. And ABC News, those idiots, he smacked them down pretty good today. Just with a few words. No anger in his voice, humorous, and also smacked down at governor, what's her face, out of Maine. She got smart alecky. What's her name? Janet Mills. And Trump set her straight real quick. That's on my thumbnail. You better do it. About taking men out of women's sports. She said, we're going to stick up with the state and federal laws. Speaking up at that dinner so rudely. And Trump said, well, we're the federal laws, and you better do it. And I'll see you in court. He said, that's fine. I'll see you in court. He said, that'll be an easy one. That'll be an easy one. Enjoy your life out of politics, because you're not going to win again and keep this up. And so it's fun to watch, and I'm glad to see Mr. T in a freed up from the emotion, freed up from the counter psyop that has been discredited about his authority being in question. It's not in question now. And his last term, it was, and it made it much more difficult. And they were constantly hyenas on the attack. And now they're looking ridiculous, sounding ridiculous, because they are ridiculous. So let the good times roll, baby. So Kash Patel got sworn in today. He gave a down-to-earth speech right when he got sworn in. Seemed very relatable, especially to the younger population. He's a young man. And he's dedicated. Like I said, he's American to the bone. And one standard that he's going to run the FBI by, and that's the Constitution. And he supplicated himself before Pam Bondi, okay, as his boss. He made that very clear. And he, I think, showed especially younger people that could relate confidence, obedience to the Constitution and to the people and the rule of law. And he's got strong resolve. And boy, that makes for quite a bit. Instead of what was James Comey, his nickname was the Cardinal. He looked down his nose, just like Obama. You ever notice how Obama would look down that nose at people? You don't see that with the leadership that's coming in. So we've gotten Pam Bondi, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Hegseth, Pete Hegseth, and Kash Patel. That's a formidable squad to for people like Adam Schiff to be looking down the barrel of. And it's coming. It's coming. We just got to be patient, and we've got to continue to. I would say paint the picture, but we're not. We're not creating a picture. We're unveiling something that already exists. We're not making stuff up. We're unveiling, okay? And unlike the media, which tries to constantly paint a picture, and starting to look like a third grade special ed class. Got to hold some chalk and glue, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Big Friday. We had, I was going to put on my thumbnail, TROs squashed, temporary restraining orders. They're falling one by one. And, one thing that our courts are doing that's very wise, it's built into the system. And it gets abused sometimes, like we've seen with Mercan and then Goron and others, where if they make a decision that is going to be appealed, they generally, the judge that made the ruling generally gets an opportunity to review and revise. And I think this judge's name, what was his name? I can't remember. They've been pulling these little judicial rabbits out of their hat all over the country, but mostly New York and DC. The two rat holes, judicial rat holes. This one judge, put forth his reconsideration about putting a freeze on firing the U.S. aid workers, and he had a chance to gracefully withdraw his own order. And that's a good thing, because we want to have, nobody knows everything, and nobody's perfect. It was kind of like that finale argument I had with a fellow creator who was adamant about stringing people up at every tree if they did something he didn't agree with. But you got to, Trump is seeking unity, okay? And these hard heads, they only see and hear one side. And subconsciously, their livelihood, their success, their identity, everything depends on their preconceived notions. So they think. They think if they, go along with big bad Trump, mean old Trump, that they'll lose their station, their position, and they'll betray a philosophy. But it's like Ronald Reagan said, these liberals know so much. It's just a shame that so much of what they know is wrong. And with some of them, you have to give them a way out. Give them the information. You try to treat people with respect, because so many things in life are a learning process. Like I told you about the old friend of mine who lived well into his 90s. His father lived well into his 90s, almost hit 100. He was late 98, years, 11 months, something like that, when he passed away. And my friend said, my dad learned something new every day right until the day he died. And his father was a very well-known and very well-respected, well, actually was the man I was talking about that started the airport. Okay, I mean, I'm talking, he was born in the 1800s. And very intelligent. His son, that was my friend, that passed away, about 8 years ago or so, I believe. He in his later 90s. I looked at some of the curriculum that he, when he got a bachelor's degree at a local college. Well, I'll call it local college, not a big name college at all. Not one of the usual names you hear. And wow, some of these subjects they covered philosophy and Greek writings, and you wouldn't think that from somebody out here in the boonies or in the sticks or whatever. So if they can learn something new every day, we can learn something new every day. And I'm not going to begrudge someone who has been in a guarded position. The information they get is filtered and biased, because we are dealing with, I think it might have been Kash Patel that said it was $100 billion psyop that we've all been exposed to. So under those circumstances, you can see that a well-meaning person can be misled. And they have to be given the opportunity to learn something new every day by people who actually have knowledge and actually have the nation's best interests at heart. So I don't remember the judge's name, but his order, removing his own order, was worded such that it was non-confrontational. It was matter of fact. And he basically said that he was misled as to the severity and to his own standing and the plaintiff's standing. These unions that petition the court for these temporary restraining orders, and the attorneys that went to get these restraining orders should have known better. Judges rely on attorneys to be honest and straightforward in the legal, I would say, advice or positions that they present to the court. That's why you bring case law. You say, Your Honor, this is what another judge decided in a similar case. Like I talked about my old friend in the divorce case. The judge said, Iowa. He used to call it, instead of Iowa, he'd say, Iowa. I mean, this was a divorce back in the 1970s. He said, I want to hear that Iowa case again. So the lawyer reads the Iowa case, and that's the one he decided. Now you have attorneys that are asking Chat GPT or whatever it is to bring up case law, and Michael Cohen did it. I heard another attorney did it, got in big trouble because the computer just makes crap up that aren't even actual cases. So judges were making decisions based on something that didn't even happen but sounded good from Chat GPT. So we're in a state of flux, and there are going to be judges that are no more as far as retaining their positions on the bench, and there are judges that are going to make mistakes, rectify their mistakes, and hopefully serve their country with a long career. That's the way we have to look at it going forward. Even though it's tempting to be so exasperated with these, it's almost fanatical. The TDS it's almost not almost with a group of people, a certain group of people, it is fanatical. But when we get up to professional positions, things as serious as administering the laws of the country, most of the judges don't want to be fanatics. They don't, and they don't like to be misled either. As I was saying, the attorneys should have known and may have known that they didn't have standing. But their presence and their filing insinuated that they had standing. The judge didn't even, and the judge admitted it, that he did not have jurisdiction. So this lawfare business, you can have experienced judges, but they don't know everything. They rely in good faith on professional attorneys. That is their bailiwick. How many times have you been to an attorney and they say, well, I'm not really good at that. I'll refer you to a friend of mine who does contract law. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not good at that. I'll refer you to an attorney of mine who does estate law. There's so many different things. But a judge, okay, they don't have judges for each little, what's the contract law, landlord, tenant, speeding tickets, DUIs. Judges have to have a wraparound ability. And the only way they can have that wraparound ability is if they have competent attorneys who are acting in good faith to give them case law to help guide them in a just decision. Lawfare is inherently bad faith practice, in my opinion. The way things work with the federal employees, if they have a grievance, I was listening to Robert Gavoya today. He was reading it right out of the judge's ruling. They handle it internally. Like I said the other night, many professions, you go before the board of realtors, you go before the insurance trustees, if you're selling it, or whoever it is. They have their own code of ethics. They have their own professional responsibilities that you have to learn, and you get yourself in a pickle. You go before the body that oversees that licensing area. It's the same with the federal employees. Those unions and their attorneys should have gone to a court of competent jurisdiction. And they didn't, and I think they knew they didn't, and they put that judge in a bad position. And he was able to remedy it, but I think all these things should be taken note of, and all these things should be addressed. And that's why I'm saying a lot of these attorneys should either be sanctioned or lose their law licenses altogether, because lawfare is a bad faith practice. And anyway, so with these TROs being removed, we're looking at 200,000 federal employees have been laid off, and another 75,000 have voluntarily taken the buyout. That's over 250,000 people in the first month. And you think about it, the benefits, the pay, the days off, the vacation time, the insurance, the this, the that. I've said before, the savings were going to be staggering. We've got different categories we're looking at. We're looking at savings, which is one thing. And we're looking at recovering stolen funds. That's another thing. You could say that's a savings, but it's not like somebody breaks in your house and takes your strong box. You recover it and say, "Hey, I just saved money." No, you didn't save money. You found, or you recaptured what somebody stole from you. You already saved. So Diamond Silk put out something about $200 billion is being looked at that is missing from what? We've already got Social Security. We've already got U.S. aid. 200 billion COVID money. COVID money. We haven't even gotten to the Pentagon yet. We haven't gotten to the IRS yet. We haven't gotten to the school system. All right. Remember, we went over the numbers. In 2023, or 2022, they were 32 billion or 33 billion, and they shot up to 250 billion, and then 200 some billion the next year. How did that happen? That's going to be one of the bells that are going to ring in the future. Hi, Gary. How you doing? Nice to see you. Television shows, nice to see you. There you go. Like and subscribe. Thank you. Pappy Two Bears. Yeah, that's right. We've got to try to learn ourselves. I made mistakes. I've said things I was missed the mark on. If you can come back and correct it, that's good. So, yeah, Diamond Silk, they said 200 billion is being looked into that suddenly vanished from the COVID relief. I had an article the other day that he was the king of, I don't know, Botswana or somewhere, got arrested in America last March. And he looked like, if you ever saw the movie Coming to America, was it? Or the Eddie Murphy movie where James Earl Jones played a African king? He kind of looked like that. And he got arrested. He landed at an airport. And apparently the FBI had a warrant out for him. He didn't know it. And he was coming by to see his wife or something in America. You know, one of these scams where you marry an American woman or, have dual citizenship, all that crap. But anyway, they arrested him for 4-point-whatever million in COVID money. And I said, boy, that's interesting. How come nobody ever talked about that? And then I hear this from Diamond Silk that they're looking at 200 billion. Make sure I get that right. I've got so many little articles here. It's unreal. People posting this another one of these videos they put up on Twitch or Reddit or wherever, talking about taking one for the team and going after Elon or Trump. I saved that. I might play that next time I do a picture show. These people are fanatics. We'll send you whatever you need in commissary. We'll send you money. We'll put up a GoFundMe like we did for Luigi. But somebody out there needs to step up. Somebody out there needs to take one for the team. I hope everybody that's putting up videos like this gets arrested. But if you have a media that doesn't advertise, well, not advertise, or report, that doesn't report on what's going on, you know, just looking at the, at the chats. So it's like somebody asked Chat GPT, what's your most conservative, controversial take? Well, that's kind of an open-ended question. What's your most controversial take, Chat GPT? And they answered, or it answered, that depends on the context, politics, philosophy, economics, technology, etc. But if I had to throw out a broad, high-level take, I'd say most people are far less capable of independent thought than they believe. And society would function better if we openly acknowledged that some people should not have decision-making power over important matters. That's quite the take. It goes on to explain. This applies to democracy, business, and even personal relationships. The idea that everyone's opinion is equally valuable is a feel-good lie. Some people are simply more competent, rational, and informed than others, and giving disproportionate influence to the uninformed or irrational drags everything down. Well, that's a plus for Chat GPT because I concur 1,000%. But what we've built, especially in the federal bureaucracy, but what we've been building in the school systems psychologically, everybody gets a trophy, okay? Everybody's special. You can't criticize anybody. And then they break it down into race guilt and things like that. So in the federal government, nobody had a boss. That's how you end up with 4% of the people showing up for work and 96% of them doing, like Trump said, going out and playing golf or going to the store or working a second job. And we're shoveling billions of dollars at a bunch of people who look down their nose at people who don't have federal positions or state or local government. That's a divided society. But a lot of these people in their ivory towers are getting thrown out. Pam Bondi fired the chief counsel for the ATF. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. We've been seeing story after story about how they're going around knocking on doors, intimidating people, bring your, if you have any weapons in the house, you better let us know. And you take a big chance when you stand your ground. Say, hey, what are you even doing on my porch? I mean, when you watch videos of some guy watching TV at 11 o'clock at night, a judge had a weed eater stolen. Did y'all hear this story? Somebody stole a judge's weed eater. And a bunch of deputies got a tip where a weed eater at 11 o'clock at night, and they ended up going to the wrong address. And the guy didn't know what the heck was going on. And all of a sudden, he's got dark at night. He's got a bunch of deputies dressed in dark clothes and banging on the door. And next thing you know, pow, pow, pow. The guy's lost his life over it. So I'm sure the county's going to get sued, or the cops are going to get sued. And the judge, I don't know if he got his weed eater back or not. So whenever you provoke interactions between armed law enforcement and citizens, you never know which way the ball's going to bounce sometimes. And so this ATF chief counsel, yeah, that's right, Miss Mindersu. Please misspell that word next time, Miss Mindersu. Yeah, he lost his life. So anyway, that's one more anti-Second Amendment person out the door. Yeah, here it is. I don't know when Kash Patel put this tweet up, but he was talking about the poke in the arm, right? He said, if you're unpoked, you resisted global propaganda worth over $100 billion. The fact that you withstood such intense pressure shows how strong you are, making you a rare breed in a time when that kind of backbone is nearly extinct. Be proud of yourself. So I keep that in mind when I deal with people who fell for it, And you know that might be too rough of a term. You know, they didn't fall for it; they were duped, they were misled, they were tricked, and it could have adverse consequences for their health. And if they're a friend or somebody I care about, that concerns me, and it also makes me angry. But it concerns me, but it doesn't make me angry at them. And you want to give them a chance to see what's happened, and hopefully their health wasn't adversely impacted, and they can be on the team and be thankful that they didn't suffer any injury. So we have the media is constantly trying to find fault, trying to get people to be up in arms over what the administration is doing. I'm not just going to put it solely in Trump's lap, okay? Because, you know, he's got probably 80 million people behind him at least, even though they said he got 76 or 77,000. We know it's more than that. So Oh, it's not just Trump, it's the administration that we've authorized Donald J. Trump to assemble to administer to our country. But then you have, I was thinking about Bernie Sanders. I said, you know what? He might come around like Fetterman's been kind of coming around, Fetterman. Leading up to the election, Fetterman was helping more than he was hurting. Wouldn't you agree? And I thought, well, maybe the next one will be Bernie. But that's not the case. He was on CNN and they put out these little shorts, and Bernie's sitting there saying, the U.S. is moving rapidly towards an authoritarian society, going along with the dictator crap. He's got a lot of influence, and that imbibes responsibility, and he's abusing it. When you have someone that's showing that the government can be shrinked down 30%, 40%, well, a massive amount, that people's lives can be improved and money can be saved, and the country more safe, people more informed, but then fall right in line with claiming that's a authoritarian society. So I could safely scratch him off the list as somebody who's, for him to be in, or any of them, to be in the Senate that long, to not be corrupted, to not be having his phone ring saying, look, you better do this and you better do that. For him to be in the Senate that long and not be in that position is foolish thinking on my part. Fetterman was a freshman. He hadn't been in the swamp as much as most of the senators we're looking at now. Somebody put up a bill to reduce government spending by 1.2 trillion, and the Senate voted on it. And I think it was something like 76 said no. And y'all check me on this if I'm not that far off. 24 said yes. Might have been 28 said yes, and 74 said no. Why not? Rand Paul put that up. Rand Paul put it up. We're seeing that amount being frittered away and wastefully spent and being returned to the Treasury as we speak. So why not reduce the spending by that much and lower our deficit from 2 trillion to 800 million in the snap of a finger? Because that's how many people are compromised. But if you say, well, there's only, how many Democrats are there? 47 or 8? We have the majority of 52 or 50. I'm not sure what it is. It's not a huge majority, but it's a very, very workable majority. 53, I believe, to 47. So that means we've got, because not one Democrat voted for it. Like Trump says, that one thing they do, they stick together. So we've got 25 or 24 senators on the Republican side that just don't get it, or they're in some manner compromised, corrupted, captured, threatened, bribed, think the swamp is a hot tub, one of those scenarios. So now that we got Kash Patel in there, are we thinking all these people are going to get snatched up? What would that do to our society? What would that do to accelerate the changes that are happening already at a breakneck pace? The reason I'm putting it to you this way is and we've done it before, we've had to dampen our expectations of a big event, a mass arrest event, big names. Because would it speed things up? No. Would it cause tumult and disruption? I'd say yes. What will the national attitude be 30 days from now, 60 days from now? How much has the national attitude changed in just the last 30 days? Since Trump raised his hand and took the oath till today, I would say we've had another 20-point swing of the populace on board. Around 70% that are comfortable, not going out waving flags and whoop-de-doing, but feel confident that we're going in the right direction. So what would another 60, 90 days bring us of success, of discovering wrongdoing? What would be the good time to Trump did not bring up giving the American people a dividend check and then not do it. He is going to do it. And I saw somebody in comments, I believe it was Wanda, said, well, what about people on who aren't filing on maybe disability or Social Security and don't file? How do they get a check? And somebody else in the same comment thread said, I'll never see it. I'll never see the 5,000. I never got any COVID money. Well, the answer first question is, I believe that the dividend of 5,000 would be handled like COVID. Anybody that got a COVID check, or checks in the plural, would qualify. So it doesn't matter if you didn't file or didn't make enough to file. That's not what would determine getting the dividend. Now, why the other person didn't get any COVID checks, I have no idea. I would, if that person's listening, or if other people feel the same way. I remember looking at the online application that if you were a non-filer, you had to give a driver's license number, your social, and name and address, and that was it. And you got one. It was, I think, head of household. So anyway, So that's my answer to that. What would be the best timing for that to happen? And I touched on last night that if there was going to be something that the mainstream media would try to whip up, oh, they're taking everybody to concentration camps. Oh, they're arresting their political opponents en masse. Even though we know about the criminality, we know Schiff is a criminal, and we know Swalwell's a criminal, we know on down the line. I think when people are grateful, preoccupied, and looking for more, when they get these checks, if there were to be something biblical, that would be a good time to do it. Because the fact of the matter is, it's an old saying IBM had. The mind can only really concentrate on one thing at a time in an efficient way. So people are like, wow. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but knowing Trump, it might be 10,000. You know, Trump doesn't like doing things halfway. But he would not have brought up a dividend check if he wasn't going to do it. He will do it. What if it's 10 grand? Oh, by the way, we're arresting all the crooks that allowed this money to be stolen from you in the first place. Great. I'm going shopping. Or, holy cow, maybe you shouldn't be too rough on them. Now I'm going shopping. It's going to be a lot harder for them to whip up. They survive on fear. They appeal to greed and fear. Actually, they implement all the 7 deadly sins, but the main ones they use is fear. That's why you see so many of these hoaxes go straight for the base instinct of self-preservation. A virus. The oceans rising and everybody losing their homes. Climate change, where cities will burn. On and on they go. So when there's a tangible realization that we're entering a golden age and people are euphoric, that'd be a good time to do it. So Pam Bondi said, I got the Epstein list on my desk. How many of the regular or the old news is going to report on that? I didn't see any CNN shorts about that. The only stuff I see is like Bernie, we're heading to an authoritarian regime. So I think it's going to be some amount of time before the list is released. Why? I think they're going to build it up. I think they're going to give people time to talk about it. The Joe Rogans. I keep talking about these U.S. aid-backed channels that I suspect of being U.S. aid-backed channels. Like Harry Sisson, maybe, I don't know. Midas Trash Network. What do you think? You gonna hear them talking about the Epstein list? No. You gonna hear ABC talk? No. CNN? No. So how do we get people? Because if they release a list, it'll be just like we were talking about last night. Somebody, I think it was Wanda, said they came out with a forensic analysis of Obama's birth certificate, and it is fraudulent. Whatever that portends, whatever it portends, I don't know, but nobody's reporting on it. It's like the old joke. If a husband walking in a forest speaks the truth and there's no one, and he has no wife around to hear it, is he still a liar? That's just a little joke. So, we one of the things Trump said is that one of the first things that's got to be straightened out is this fake news crap. Sean Hannity had James Carville, and you all know what I think of him. I won't go over that again. But he is an old turd from the Clinton administration, a creature. And Trump put out a comment about him. Let me see if I can find that. But anyway, he was on Hannity. And James Carville said, well, y'all only won about 1.5%. That's not a big deal. And, it's not a big deal. We can come back. From that. And Hannity's blah, 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 blah. And Carville says, Trump's got the lowest popularity rating he's ever had. And Hannity said, well, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at he's got, and of course, Carville has to say, well, I don't know what you're looking at. What I'm looking at. He's got a lowest approval rating. People don't agree with it. People don't agree with what he's doing. And that's what they're all putting out. So ABC News asked a question. I couldn't find that post, but I go from memory. At a press conference, they said, young people are upset with Elon Musk and how he's slashing budgets and doing this and doing that. And Trump said, oh, really? Who you with? She said, ABC News. He said, ABC News. He laughed. He said, I thought so. Or it figures or something like that. And the people laughed. It was during swearing in for the Commerce Secretary. And the whole crowd laughed at the girl. Do you think the ABC is going to show that clip? No. But we're going to keep talking about it. And it's a talking point, I know, that is from the Mockingbird media, because Carville was insinuating the same thing. They're trying to inculcate into the political discussion that nobody likes Trump. His popularity is low. He's not delivering. Egg prices are still high. They're slashing. They use terms like slashing, ripping, and all the harm they're causing. Nobody likes Trump, and they only won by 1.5 points, or 1.2. I think that's what Carville said, 1.2%. Well, now we know why they've been counting for months and months, or over a month. California was counting for over a month, so they could lower that amount. When I get to that, what Trump said about James Carville, that he was broken and a wreck of a person mentally and physically, and it's true. And believe me, Carville's got an ego, man, like the Goodyear blimp. And Trump, I don't believe, has ever addressed anything about Carville, but he did this time around. And he belittled him like he deserved to be belittled. Here is Diamond Silk. New Doge announces its latest bombshell findings. Doge has uncovered stunning misuses of nearly, I was right, 200 billion in COVID-19 relief funds, revealing an alarming lack of accountability. I said I could be wrong. It could have been 200 million, and there's a big difference between 200 million and 200 billion. I better check. Sure enough, that's what they put in there. 200 billion. That was announced this evening. And we haven't got to the Pentagon. We haven't got to the IRS. We haven't got to the Federal Reserve. We haven't got to the NEA, to teachers. National Education Association, with the $250 billion budget, up from $30 billion. So it's hard to wrap your head around how much money we're talking about here. Right, Debbie? Pentagon. Speaking of the Pentagon, Trump put out, there was that comment he put out about where he fired CQ Brown. But he was respectful. He put in Raising Cane. Okay? Here's what Trump said. I want to thank General Charles C.Q. Brown for his over 40 years of service to our country, including as our current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's a fine gentleman and an outstanding leader, and I wish a great future for him and his family. Today, I'm honored to announce that I am nominating Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Raising Cane to be the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. General Cane is an accomplished pilot, national security expert, successful entrepreneur, and a, quote, warfighter with significant interagency and special operations experience. Can you imagine being at some desert outpost and one day you run into Donald Trump in Afghanistan? He gives you orders, you do it, and years go by, and then you're chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Wow, what a story. But anyway, Trump goes on to say, during my first term, Raising was instrumental in the complete annihilation of the ISIS caliphate. It was done in a record-setting time, in a matter of weeks. Many so-called military, quote, geniuses said it would take years to defeat ISIS. General Cane, on the other hand, said it would be done quickly, and he delivered. He's going on. I'll keep reading, but, he started off with a very nice farewell to 40 years of service for the guy that was there. But a television general, apparently, despite being highly qualified and respected to serve on the Joint Chiefs of Staff during the previous administration, General Kane was passed over for promotion by Sleepy Joe Biden, but not anymore. Alongside Secretary Pete Hegseth, General Kane and our military will restore peace through strength, put America first, and rebuild our military. Finally, I have also directed Secretary Hegseth to solicit nominations for 5 additional high-level positions, which will be announced soon. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So, 5 more. 5 more are going to be putting an egg in their shoe and beating it. That's his way of putting it out there. Who else got canned? Here, I got a picture of her. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has just fired Lisa Franchetti, Chief of Naval Operations. She kind of looks like Miss Doubtfire in a military uniform. Well, maybe not that bad. But yeah, it's looks like a DEI to me. I don't know. Looks like a DEI to me. So she's history, along with the ATF character. Trump wants to sell the Nancy Pelosi Federal Building in San Francisco. There's a little video that goes along with that. I didn't know they named a federal building after Nancy Pelosi. That and another building they're going to sell. And the news reporter had a guest on saying it's just for spite. But the administration put out a statement that it's just more office space that nobody's using. Just another place nobody needs to show up to work for. ABC News, here's where I got those figures. They put out more than 200,000 federal workers, and more than a dozen agencies have had their roles eliminated, and another 75,000 accepted buyouts. The reduction stems in large part from efforts by Elon Musk and the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, which have sought to dismantle large swaths of the federal government. A dozen agencies, big deal. How many agencies does the federal government have? Hell of a lot more than a dozen. Yeah, it's another report on the. I didn't even know CQ Brown was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I didn't even know that. Boy, Thomas Massey put out a truth. I might have to post this on my community page so you all can share it. Do you all ever check my community page for stuff you can share or get a screenshot of? Thomas Massey put out, USAID funded an organization that fabricated evidence which was used to impeach President Trump. The deep state frequently funds regime change efforts abroad, but when it uses taxpayers' money to undermine our own government, isn't that treason? Now, I said the word because I'm reading a communication from a member of the U.S. Congress on a public platform, so I shouldn't get in trouble for that. Yeah. Oh, did you know I was talking last night about the report, a video I saw that was reporting that 70 Christians were beheaded in the Republic of Congo by, it said Protestants. And I said, how ridiculous is that? Well, turns out they weren't Protestants. I have to go look at which organization reported that. They were actually Muslims. Why would they substitute that for Protestants? Christian Prince did a video that it was Muslims that did it. Did you hear that P. Diddy's lawyer quit right after Cash got confirmed? New York Post reported it. Sean P. Diddy Combs' lawyer quit the S3X trafficking case. Quote, under no circumstances can I continue. Wow. He was getting paid top buck, top dollar. But right after Cash gets confirmed, excuse me while I have a cup of coffee. Oh, a sip of my coffee. Oh, let me mute my mic. Had to wet my whistle. I don't know if Diddy's going to be on the Epstein list or not. They might release that and a Diddy list. Yeah, I'm reading our television shows. It's right. Well, the media wasn't totally silent. They put a video up yesterday about it, a short video. I don't know which news service it was, but they said it was Protestants. The Diddy list got out today. I didn't see it. The whole list. And by the way, I want to thank Mike and Bev for chipping in to buy me a coffee. They sent me a nice message for me to keep up the good work. So did Norm the other day. And Wayne, Pappy Two Bears. Been helping out this week. I appreciate everybody. I see a lot of names that have helped out in the past. Gary's been a big support. He's chairman of the board. And I go week by week. This week, that's who's been helping out with the channel. I do appreciate it. I have a link in the description. So I don't know if the whole Diddy list got sent out or not. Newsmax put out, they always got to use the term, I don't trust Newsmax totally. Of course, it's better. A federal judge put Eric Adams's case, let's see, on indefinite delay. Indefinite delay. That's a tactic that judge used against General Flynn. When prosecutors dropped the case against General Flynn, and that was very controversial. So this is a federal judge. Oh, my, federal judge. Well, you read the rest of it. It says a federal judge in New York. Okay? We've seen enough corruption out of New York, especially the Southern District, where federal judge doesn't mean squat to me if it's got New York behind it. A federal judge in New York on Friday said, this is the way it's worded. I'm reading it word for word. Breaking news. A federal judge in New York, judge on Friday, says it twice. A federal judge in New York, judge on Friday said he would not immediately dismiss the corruption charges against Democrat New York City Mayor Eric Adams as requested by the Trump Justice Department, and instead ordered an indefinite delay to the trial. Well, if there's nobody going to prosecute the damn thing, there is no trial. Charges dropped. Corrupt charges. So they don't say the name of the judge, but I guess we'll find out. What's your bet? Somebody we've heard of in the past? Now, Diamond Silk also, I didn't click on the article, but they said that Trump, another firing tonight. I've already gone over at least three, right? The Navy woman, the chiefs of staff, the ATF. Then they put up, you're fired. Trump, quote, fires top ICE official in stunning move. And I'm looking at a picture of the guy. I doesn't look familiar to me, but apparently was, air quotes, serving under the Biden administration. Anybody in a high position with ICE that allowed this crap to go on, what do they expect? So he's gone. I wish I could find that one that he's talked about, James Carville, because I will say I have a personal dislike for that person. He's an ugly human being, inside and out. I'm looking for it. Well, I tell you, this Ukraine stuff, in a way, it's a comedy. In a way, it's comedy. The way this reporting's been going about Zelensky, boy, Trump is not fooling around with him, and he's getting his chop smacked. U.S. border crossings at the southern border are down 94% from last. But no, I'm not sure how it works. You click on it, Tammy, and it should take you to buy me a coffee. And you just, I'm under all one word, Mountain Man. One word together, not Mountain Space Man. It's all one word, Mountain Man. And I have a same orange picture you see on the screen for my page, because somebody gave somebody named Mountain Man, and it wasn't me. Oh, I wish I could find what he said about James Carville. He called him it. Even if it's old news, I'm going to read it when I get to it. Yeah, here, President Trump shuts down fake ABC News reporter. Who do you work for? ABC News. No wonder. I have today the highest polls numbers I've ever had. They like the job I'm doing. We're finding billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. So who wouldn't like that? But anyway, they say Daily Mail put out an article that says that Zelensky agreed to the deal for the rare earth after the Trump administration was putting out statements about Zelensky that were very unbecoming. Oh, here it is. Here it is. What Trump was, because they were doing that drumbeat, that ABC reporter Carville on Hannity. His approval rating is way down. Trump put out, I won the presidential election in a landslide, won all 7 swing states, the popular vote, and all 50 states shifted Republican. A record. And now I have the best polling numbers I've ever had. The Democrats, run by broken down losers like James Carville, who's weak of mind and body, are going crazy and just don't know what to do. They have lost their confidence and spirit. They have lost their minds. We're going to have big wins for our country and make America great again. It's already happening and will get bigger and better than ever before. So, James Carville, put that in your pipe and smoke it. You creep. Oh, that's right, Benjamin. Top ICE guy was probably leaking info on ICE raids in Chicago. Who was it? Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem is putting him on a lie detector test, right? They say they've been conducting lie detector tests. And you know what? With lie detector tests, people can confuse the machine, but they're very difficult to beat. People say it's not admissible in court to give false readings. Lie detector tests are very good. And they will show deception. Yeah, sissy, that's right. So maybe he failed, but they said that it had to be somebody high up because they tightened down how many people they were telling because of the leaks, and it was like top level stuff was getting out. He may have had attitude like this goofy Janet Mills from, where was that, Maine? Where Trump said, you better do it. You better comply. I got that clip. I'll save that. Because it was a meeting of governors he was at. And on top of that, he said the American people expect every city and state to fully honor ICE detainer requests and to ensure safe transfer of criminal aliens into federal custody for immediate removal from our country. The American people expect every city and state. So he is, I don't know another time when Trump has spoken to governors. But he had have you all ever seen him attend a governor's meeting? I think his statements have legal weight. Okay, they're formal statements. Formal, you can use the term orders, if you will. He's a chief law enforcement officer of the United States. And he was wearing a gold tie. I thought that was interesting. And the conflict with the governor of Maine was about men and women's sports and women's locker rooms. And Trump didn't spend a lot of time on her, but he was pretty plump and plain. And he didn't give her room to talk. She was trying to babble, but it was no uncertain terms. He said it twice. He said, you better do it. And he said, you better comply. So if they knowingly break the law and somebody gets hurt, or accosted, I'll say, abused, accosted, or injured during a sport, I think that would make these elected officials personally vulnerable. They wouldn't have sovereign immunity if they are knowingly. Because malfeasance, I believe, you lose your sovereign immunity. You can make a mistake. You can make an honest mistake, and that's what part of what qualified or sovereign immunity is for, to protect people from making an honest mistake and ruining their lives. But if you knowingly deprive people of their civil rights or expose them to criminality, where do you get sovereign immunity in that situation? I don't believe you do. So LA Fire Department chief is fired. What do you all make of that? She fired the first member of the alphabet community to be the LA fire chief. Meanwhile, I've talked about this kid's channel in the past, heavyset boy. But I always say, try to support the younger creators. This guy's name is Cinema Shogun, but I listen to him sometimes, but I don't make a habit of it because he goes off into UFOs and some kooky crap, which I'm not fond of. But he does do some good reporting. And he was putting out about this other fire chief in California that was lost her life in her own home. And I said that the pictures showed her looking like Neil Cavuto, plus about 30 pounds. And turns out, to no one's in this chat's surprise, that is the spouse of this lady. And they're on the loose. Maybe while we've been talking, they caught her. I don't know. But I haven't heard it reported that this spouse served like 18 years, almost 19 years in jail. Because I think it was 2001, she did the same thing to her husband, and he lost his life. She took a knife to her husband in 2001, got out of jail in 2019 or 20. She served 18 years, 8 months, and then married this member of the alphabet community, and now she knows she's no longer alive. How in the world could you go to sleep next to anybody that spent 20 years in the joint for taking a knife to their other spouse? So it's insane. It's insanity. I'm reading some of these. Yeah, Melinda, he's not playing anymore. No more games. Yeah, maybe we'll get no federal funding. Well, not only that, I'm thinking Trump is going to make an example of her since she got mouthy with him. He might just make an example of her. If she tries to pull a modern day George Wallace and defy federal law. The market dropped big time. Ha! You got your cup of coffee, Angela? Ha! Starlink knows if you're good or bad. So be good for goodness sake. Yeah, I don't have Starlink. I rely on whatever's floating around out there, or antennas, or what. Well, you need some form of immunity, Wanda. That's what Supreme Court was saying. To prevent, like, President of the United States being charged, like we've seen them go after culpable negligence. That's right, Hebrew Hammer. If you're acting in good faith and executing your duties, you can't have just any old prosecutor come after you from any state. Nobody would ever serve. Yeah, Hebrew, if you're on the road, be careful. Yeah, Trump put that lady in charge of, she made her the pardon czar. I can't remember her name, but she's a lady that served 22 years and was looking at another 22 years until Mr. T stepped in, and now she's in charge of pardons. Hi, Jess Bean. How you doing? Yeah, I quit paying for cable TV. Not cable, but Dish. Man disguised as lawyer. Did you all hear about this? This was in Sri Lanka. A guy disguised himself as a lawyer and ended the life of a notorious gang leader. This is from BBC News. A notorious gang leader has died after he was SHOT inside a courthouse in Sri Lanka by a gunman disguised as a lawyer, police have said. So that would be another gang. Because let me tell you something. The one who committed the crime, dressed up as a lawyer, ain't going nowhere. Who would do that? And I don't know. Wait till we get the whole story. But that's the power. If they want to get you, shut you up or whatever. Kind of like Jack Ruby. When Jack Ruby got Oswald, they said Ruby had owed mob money and had cancer anyway. So they put him up to it. Maybe that's the case with this lawyer in Sri Lanka. Let's see. Did you all see where Enrique Tarrio got arrested again? A Proud Boys guy. I don't know what this Enrique Tarrio's guy's story is. He allegedly, the way ABC News puts it out, that he struck a woman's phone and arm. He struck her phone and arm, and he got arrested. And of course, all the comments He should have never got out of jail. It's Trump's fault because he pardoned him. Blah, 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 blah. So I saw a video of him, and I can get a copy of it, but it looked to me like he just really quickly grabbed the phone and threw it. Or it didn't look like he really hit her. He shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't let him provoke him. And it shows me he's not over bright. And right in front of a police officer. And just like the guy that got his face spray painted, the cops came and arrested the guy who spray painted his face because they saw it happen. And this Enrique Tarrio, he's shoulder to shoulder with this woman and just slings her phone over onto the pavement. And the cop was standing right there watching it. So I don't know what to make of this character. Wasn't a very smart move. I had visions of some purple-haired wild person sticking their phone in his face to where he was concerned about the phone striking him and putting his, but it didn't look like that to me. It looked like he pulled the aggressive move. Not smart. I'm looking at pictures of this spouse of the firefighter. You know, this is the kind of garbage that goes around. This is back to that fire chief whose spouse ended their life. Somebody put on Twitter, should the DOJ be investigating Trump for the killing of fire captain Rebecca Marodi? Or are their attacks against Democrats just a politicized attack? They were blaming Trump. Another one said Trump riled up his MAGA cult against California fire captain, calling her a DEI hire. Now she's been viciously red-rummed in her own home. She was found with multiple stab wounds that police say indicate a desperate fight for survival. They were blaming Trump. Now it's come out that it was her own spouse who had already done almost 20 years in the joint for ending her first husband's life. Well, he could have got tired of it, Miss Mindersu, but you know, like with Trump, I mean, if anybody had a right to be tired of this liberal crap, is Trump. But could you imagine him doing something? Of course not. You know, you have to be a level head, especially if you're representing a group of people and you're at the nation's capital and you're under a lot of scrutiny. You got to take the high road, you know. I think he made a mistake. It's simple assault, but still. Yeah, here's this thing by Rand Paul, uh, where Rand Paul put this in front of the Senate. The Senate is voting on my amendment to cut spending by at least $1.5 trillion. We voted for fiscal responsibility when we elected Donald Trump. And Justin Amash said Rand Paul's amendment was defeated 24-76. Nothing has changed. Republicans praise Doge publicly, and then they vote for more spending when you're not paying attention. So 24 means we've got another 20, I don't know, 29 or 30, no, 29 Republican senators had voted against Rand Paul's bill. A slam dunk. So that's not good. Well, did you all hear about? I was talking about the buses that got bombed in Israel. Trump brought up the hostage thing again. Real quick, I will just say that the two kids that I put their picture up and said it ought to be posted for all these whack jobs, so they could see, you know, what they're supporting. Turns out that they Trump said that they oh gosh, what is the best way to say it? They tried to mask how these two little, one was a baby, the other one was 4 years old. They tried to make it look like they passed away from Israeli bombing, but really they did it themselves. I mean, who could do that to children? And so after they had expired, they I can't remember how Trump put it, but it's savage. But they tried to make it look like they died another way. And the person that was sent, that was supposed to be the mother of these two children, wasn't even the mother. It was an unknown and unidentified body. So that was, I was reading that around noon today, that forensic had shown that was not one of the hostages, the mother. And I said, oh boy, because that was around the same time Trump was saying that they were trying to mask how those children lost their lives. And when Trump gave that description, he had that tone of voice and that look on his face that made you think he's ready to get somebody by the back of the neck and shake the hell out of him. So anyway, about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before I went live, I saw a report pop up that they did turn over the mother very quickly. They played games. They had coffins that they were turning over, and they had it was a carnival atmosphere in Gaza. They were, for lack of a better word, they were parading the coffins through the street with these masked individuals carrying their AK-47s or whatever, and they're playing music real loud, the crowd singing, and, you know, like a carnival. And then they had keys to the coffins that they turned over to relief workers when they surrendered the coffins, and it turned out the keys didn't work. They were playing games like that and then putting the wrong body in and brutalizing the remains of the children. And they had to forcibly pry the coffins open. And then when they did, they found what Trump termed as totally unacceptable situations. So I said, oh boy, gates of hell, right? That's what Bibi Netanyahu said. And now their holy day is Saturday. All the stuff's going on Friday. So I was thinking, boy, come Sunday, gates of hell are going to open up. But then about an hour and a half or 2 hours before I went live, I saw a report that they gave the actual mother over. I didn't hear that, sissy. I didn't hear that they rigged the coffins. I mean, that would have been an immediate response. They had the bombs in the buses rigged, remember, to go off this morning at 9 a.m. I talked about that at the beginning of the broadcast. So they're on a razor's edge of the gates of hell being opened. And I am sure Trump gave them a green light, whatever the hell you want to do, because Gaza is going to get emptied out. These people are savages, and there's no room for them anywhere. No room for them anywhere. So anyway, that's all the main stories. Not all of them. There's so much going on. And I'll probably be going live again Sunday night. And once again, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. And I appreciate everyone who's gone to buy me a coffee. Link in the description. And if you're not subscribed, why not? Do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I go live. So I might go live if something big happens or I get a notion. You never know. I might go live again tomorrow. Who knows? But somewhere down the line, I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll be getting together soon. This is Mountain Man. Over and out.